Howdy guys, and welcome back to the workshop. Now in today's video, you'll be seeing me turn this leaf spring into a massive tactical cleaver. It's going to be a real wide cleaver, good for hacking into stuff and just chopping things up. Now we're going to go ahead and get the forge lit. It is a cold day here in Ohio, so we're going to get the garage nice and toasty. Alrighty, so we went ahead and got our rough forging done. As you can see, I drew on some profile lines. I'm going to use the angle grinder to cut the tip in and then just grind the rest to shape, get the profile nice and looking good. So we'll go ahead and get that done now. With everything cleaned up to a nice 120 grit, it's time to normalize this bad boy. Now I do 3 normalizing cycles just to make sure the grain structure is nice and refined and get it ready for our heat treat. Now it's official, this bad boy is completely normal. So before the heat treat, I'm going to go ahead and drill our holes for our pins for the handle, because if I were to try to do that after I heat treat it, it would be almost impossible, or I would just have to break a whole bunch of drill bits, and nobody wants to do that, so we're going to do it before we heat treat the blade. It's very important. With the holes drilled, the knife is in the kiln. It's getting ready to fire, so we are all set until it reaches temperature. So, we can now file test it for hardness. That file is skating. This is a hard blade. So now we can go ahead and let the kiln cool down. We'll go ahead and temper this bad boy at 375 for a 2-hour cycle. So we'll go ahead and throw this back in there, and I'll see you in 2 hours. With the blade now completely sanded, we are going to be getting our handle scales fit up and drilled. We have these nice epoxy scales that I'm going to be using in black and red, and I think it'll give the blade a really nice touch. I'm a huge fan of black and red. I think those two colors really go well with each other, and I think it'll look really good on this tactical cleaver. So we'll go ahead and get our holes drilled in the scales. We can then hop over to the grinder and get the profile of the scales ground out. After that, it should be time to epoxy these bad boys on. As you guys can see, I added some red acrylic into the epoxy mixture. I did this for a few reasons. The first one being I think it'll add a nice transition in between the scale and the tang, as well as when I was drilling the holes into the scales, the drill bit chipped out the backside of one of the scales, and so the red will match the epoxy and just blend it all together and fill up that hole nicely. Now, after 24-hour cure, it is time to shape the handle. Now, we got our handle rough shaped, and I have to say it feels really good in the hand. Very, very tactical. Yeah. But anyway, we'll go ahead and start hand sanding on this bad boy to get it nice and smooth and cleaned up and really get that epoxy to shine. We'll take it up to 1,000 and then buff it, and you'll really see that black and red pop. It'll have a very nice luster to it. So let's go ahead and start hand sanding. Alrighty, so I went ahead and got this bad boy razor sharp. Cuts right through that, no problem. So I figured now is a great time to see how the edge holds up against a 2x4 chop. I'm just gonna hack into it. I'd say that held up pretty good. Its edge is still very sharp. Still cuts straight through the paper, no problem. So with the durability test done and it still holds a razor sharp edge, I think it's safe to say that meat and vegetables would not stand a chance to this tactical cleaver. As a normal cleaver would see those things on a day-to-day use. Cleavers are mostly used for butchering, as you guys probably already know. But I think this bad boy would stand up to any test that I put it through, and I'm super excited about that. It's still super tactical and super cool. With all that, it takes us to the conclusion of today's episode. Thank you guys so much for following along and getting to experience this journey with me. This is probably the biggest knife I've made thus far in my career. Also, huge thank you guys. We hit 200 subscribers, and that just means the absolute world to me. Being able to do what I love and have your guys' support is just an absolute blessing, and I thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I have a lot of new projects down in the works. Some really big ones, really cool ones that I'm super excited about. And don't forget to check out my Instagram if you guys want to stay up to date on just behind the scenes stuff and see what's going on in the shop. And if you'd like a custom knife from me, go ahead and check out my website, dsquaredknives.com. Again, thank you guys so much for following along, and I will see you in the next